doing, man? Nice to hear from you.
Hey, thanks a lot for spending some time with me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm happy to do it. You kidding me?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I can. Where are you zooming in from today?
Where am I? I'm in Tampa.
Oh, okay, very good. All right, well, we'll get started here. So you were the original lead singer of Atlanta Rhythm Section. What
Yeah.
do you remember most of those early days and the band kind of coming together?
Well, man, that is such a good question. I'm going to try to give you an honest answer as opposed to the first thing that comes to my mind. Um, well, I'm going to give you a few answers, okay?
Sure.
I remember trying to get the place built was one,
Okay.
because it was what do you call it? Like a bunch of office suites, okay? And we converted. When I heard we were going to have a studio, I thought we were going to have like a big building, with the name of the studio outside and what have you. And when
Uh-huh.
they drove me by, I went, "It's like an office." So, because we had previously done the recording at Master Sound in Atlanta, which was an old schoolhouse.
Okay.
So to me, and you go to Nashville, all the studios are in standalone buildings. So that's
Right.
kind of what we thought we were going to have. That's one thing I think of. I think about literally doing the work in the studio, you know, putting down carpet and putting nails in the walls, putting up soundproofing, and it was a lot of fun. Then I think about how many hours we would spend
Mm.
in the studio. We literally, let's say we showed up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We worked till we couldn't stand up. It might be 3 o'clock the next afternoon by the time we quit. It's
Wow.
not like we went home at 9 o'clock.
Mhm.
We worked a lot of hours. And I think about thinking of that. Here's the control room. Behind the control room, you have seats. And back there was a sofa,
Mm.
which I fell asleep on a few times, like all that music going on and the speakers blasting. I'm like, "Oh." Yeah, definitely. It's up. Well, I'm thinking of so many things now. It's very peculiar. I'm
Wow.
thinking about singing scratch tracks. Uh, I did all the singing for that first album,
Right.
the recording, in no, at least at the most 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, it's of course I had a general idea because I'd sung on scratch tracks, but I would get so bored, playing. Oh God, I was singing a song, sing this song, sing this song. After a while, you're trying to get through it.
Sure. Wow. So they sound like fond memories. You got a lot of stuff coming back to you.
My life even the bad stuff. I tell people all the time, once it's over with, nothing is that bad. You know, sometimes bad stuff is good for you because it makes trips more memorable. If
Sure.
everything goes perfect, you don't remember it.
Mm.
And you still think about trips and things that you've done, and usually there's something went wrong.
Right. That's for sure. Yes, it does.
Yeah,
Very good.
in the past 2 months, we've had a plane canceled. We had to spend the night in an airport. We
Mm.
had another one we were supposed to leave just a couple of weeks ago from Salt Lake City home at 11 o'clock in the morning, which is perfect. We never get that. So we did our part. We were there by 9 o'clock. We were and it did leave at 11 at night.
Oh
It's
no.
okay, 11:55 to be precise.
Oh,
So you get that, but like I said, if everything would have gone perfect, we wouldn't be talking about it.
that's true. Very
Right?
good. Absolutely. So when the band came together, definitely Southern rock, and elements of kind of pop and even a little bit of jazz. How did your vocal approach kind of help shape the unique sound of Atlanta Rhythm Section?
That's a pretty good question because there was no Southern rock when we got started.
Hmm.
It was the Allman Brothers,
Right.
but Allmans are to me a blues band. I know Greg and Dwayne forever. Since I'm 20 years old.
Mm.
Um, So, it was kind of a new approach. I grew up wanting to be like an R&B singer. I don't really have the voice for it, but I love those old R&B songs,
Mhm.
Sam Cooke and Bobby Blue Bland, I
Mhm.
love that kind of stuff, but my voice is too clear. I mean, I think I'm singing with as much soul. It just doesn't sound like it, um, so, um, it's also peculiar because I'm a Spanish guy in a Southern rock band. You know what I mean? I can't sing a song like this. It just ain't gonna happen.
Right.
You know, and I tend to speak pretty clearly. So yeah, I got to watch it. So my singing is a little bit different than most of the Southern guys. Um, I don't think that there was anything unique. I mean, I sang the songs pretty much the way Buddy Bowie wanted me to sing them.
Hmm.
Buddy Bowie is our producer, manager, primary songwriter, owned the studio. Well, he owned a fourth of it, but it may as well have been his. He's a very dominant kind of guy.
Right.
Um, so, you know, a true producer of a record is like a director of a movie. He's trying to get something out of it, especially when he wrote the songs.
Mm.
That's why the band existed in a sense, was because he wanted a band that would be able to sing his songs. He had the Classics Four. He had all those hits with the Classics Four,
Okay.
producing and writing them.
Hmm.
So like I said, he had something he envisioned. So I said, okay, Rock, I want you to do this. Okay, blah 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 blah. But I was pretty much an extension of him wishing he could sing. And by the way, Ronnie Hammond, I think was the same way. I sang a song one time before ARS that he was producing, and it was old Dionne Warwick sound. Anyone who had a heart.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
sang it one time. I went to the studio, into the room to listen to it, and the engineers were crying. Oh my God, that was so great! Oh my beautiful. Now, Buddy's philosophy was, well, if he could sing that good at one time, imagine how good he can do it if he sings it for 3 or 4 hours. It took me 3 or 4 hours to get it that good again.
Oh,
Honest to
wow.
God. I mean, I have it. It's never got released.
Okay.
But that was his philosophy, man. He would make you work.
Hmm.
Billy Joe Royal, I did the same to Billy Joe Royal. I remember he's like, you don't show up and sing it in 1 or 2 takes when you're working with Buddy. You know,
Wow.
it was a
So
marathon, man.
I bet. Man, it's got to be
Yeah.
hard on the old vocal cords after a while.
Um, when you're young, you can last. I used to tell Orbison, because I came from singing in nightclubs when I was young. Of course, I went with Roy when I was 20 years old. But you do shows, and I used to work in 4 or 5 hours a night, 6 nights a week. I tell Roy, I said, Roy, please, if I sang 45 minutes a night, it'd be like nothing for me. He used to
Wow.
get on me because every night for me it was like, oh man, I don't know, my throat. He'd get, you start this every day, then you get up and, it's like I can't help it. I'm always a Polaroid about how I'm going to sing.
Very good.
Paranoid.
So ARS came out with that first album, and then eventually you left after a fairly short time, and then you rejoined years later. What was it like, kind of stepping away, and then what inspired you to come back?
Well, we're talking about three separate issues. To step away the first time,
Yeah.
it was nothing. It was no problem. The problem was that I'll shorten up the story. My daughter had some medical issues. I was like every stupid musician. I had no insurance.
Hmm.
You got to pay for these things. Uh, and we were in California after a disrupted, a would-be Deep Purple tour with us in Deep Purple, who we never saw again after the first gig. But we ended up in California, and we hadn't worked live dates in 2 years. That's how I want to work. I like singing, and I wanted to sing for humans, people.
Right.
So the Rolling Stones had pretty much quit working the roads. I'm talking 1972, and Buddy comes back and he tells me, he says, Rock, you won't believe the deal I signed today. I'm thinking, oh man, we're going Rolling Stones. He says, yeah, I did sign a deal with Hanna-Barbera. The Flintstones?
Yeah.
He said, yeah. He says they're going to have a new TV show called Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kids, and we're going to do the music for it. Where does this little Rodney fit in here? You know, well, I'll put you down as a background singer. I said, dude, I didn't come here to be put on a background singer on some cartoon show. So that was why I left. I had opportunities to go to New York. So that's what I did.
There you go.
I
Okay.
came back in 19, Ronnie quit in 1983. So they asked me to come back. I mean, okay, that didn't work out either. So I said, boys, like Dizzy Gillespie once said, this band should disband. Include me out, So I went again, Then I got a job like most people do, and I did that for 28 years. I welcomed the opportunity really because I think most people know that I wanted to raise my family.
Mhm.
I want to be a dad. Plus, I had an overwhelming love for my wife, and I wanted to be with my wife. I wanted to be a dad and a husband and hang around and do family things.
Yeah, absolutely. Who wouldn't?
That was my goal. That was my
Mhm.
goal. So I did it, and then I worked long enough to retire, So and that was when I retired. It was 18 years ago, I guess. But that was I came back with a band. I think in 1911, 2011.
11. Yeah, that's yeah.
Right. So I've been back for a while. I mean, uh, it's great. Band sounds better than ever. It's people will get mad at me when I say that, but I know what the original band sounded like. I was in it. You know,
Sure. Right.
the
Yeah.
band sounds great. Yeah, well, and to be honest with you, we used to be a band. Now we're an act. We have a well thought out show
Mm.
that flows from hard, soft, loud, sharp. You know, so it's sometimes we play and they want us to divide our show in half. And I hate it. I do it because let's face it, they're the customers.
Right.
I that's the way I feel. They sometimes they ask me to do something. I say, whatever you want. You're the customer. And they go, I am. Musicians can be pretty demanding.
Hmm.
That may surprise you, but
Right.
we think that we're the customer sometimes. Like they're lucky they get to hire us.
Mm.
It's not that way.
Right.
I'll
Right.
do. I tell them I'll do anything they want me to do, so long as it doesn't affect how we sound.
Right. Very
Yeah,
good.
I'll
Yeah,
do
I
anything
saw
they
you
want.
guys a couple years ago in Warren. I think with I think Pure Prairie League was on the bill, whatever, at
Maybe
Robbins Theater,
Firefall.
whatever. And you
Yeah.
guys did sound fantastic.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Thanks.
sure.
That's
Uh,
important to us. Like I said, I'll put don't affect how we sound. I'll be good.
right. Very good. Now, you
I
mentioned
remember
Roy.
that Warren date. I remember it mostly because it didn't happen. It was supposed to happen, then it got canceled,
That's right.
right? And I had a bunch of credit because I already bought the tickets for the guys, and the
Uh,
credits were just sitting there. And I couldn't wait to use them again. Yeah, yeah, I do
right.
remember that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yep,
Very good. You mentioned working with Roy Orbison.
yeah.
How did that opportunity come about? I mean, what an iconic voice.
This goes back a long time now, back to the days when when singers or artists they didn't travel with their own band. It just didn't happen.
Mm.
So he actually the first time I met him, he had a guitar player with him, and his name was Fred Carter.
Hmm.
His daughter is Dina Carter, a well-known country artist. Roy was a very loyal kind of guy. For example, we worked every year in Canada. We would go to Minot, North Dakota, work our way north to Winnipeg, and work our way all the way to Vancouver Island. because when he had no money, there was a guy named Marlon Payne. I hope that's right.
Hmm.
It's either Marlon Payne or that's the name of the guy from Mutual of Omaha. from
Marlon Perkins, right?
Okay, well, good. It's Marlon Payne, and he never forgot that guy helping him out. So every year we would go to Canada and work at a reduced rate
Mm.
because that guy helped out. We needed. So anyway, Fred Carter was the guitar player, and later on I worked with him quite a few times. My band would back up. I had the band that backed up every artist that came to Central Florida. Okay, which wasn't um, mostly they had two or three hits, if that. No, I worked with Gene Pitney and Roy Orbison and Neil Sedaka. These guys had a lot of hits, but for the most part, well, Del Shannon, for example,
Mm.
Del had
Runaway.
maybe three hits at the time, and he was a good guy. Um, so I got to know just about everybody in the business because my band had worked with them, I was young, I was singing pretty good. And Roy liked the way I was singing. I'll never forget him telling me nothing to think about it. When he finally got his band, Bobby Goldsboro was a rhythm guitar player. I don't know if you know Bobby, but Bobby had a lot of hits in the 60s and 70s. Little Things That You Do.
Hmm.
He had a lot of hits. Look it up.
Sure.
But I took his place in the band. He was in Roy's band. I
Okay.
took his place. Uh, So, at 20 years old, that's how I got to be tight with Roy. And then when Bobby left, they asked me to take his place in the band. It's that simple. But, Roy was a big influence on me, not so much musically, but, I got to see the world because of Roy. I'm
Hmm.
pretty young at
Right.
20 years old, going all over the place. And what I'll never forget is the way he treated people. Roy was a sweet, sweet guy. In fact, I told the story at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They had a big thing honoring Roy,
Hmm.
and I was I worked with the Four Seasons, and after the show, Frankie Valli and I went to a diner to get something to eat, and he ordered a cheese omelet, and he turns to me and says, "Rodney, this is the best cheese omelets I had since I left New Jersey." I never heard of a cheese omelet. I had no idea what he was talking about. But I was so happy that Tampa had something as good as New Jersey, right? So I tell him, I said, "Well, Frankie, this is my last day with the band." "What do you mean?" "Yeah, I'm going to work with Roy Orbison." He says, "You are going to work for the nicest guy in show business." "Oh, really?" I mean, I've known him, but I didn't know he had that kind of reputation. I'll never forget when he died, Rolling Stone was on the cover, which I have right
Hmm.
there. Roy was on the cover of Rolling Stone.
Yep.
The first paragraph said something like, "Roy Orbison was the sweetest guy in rock and roll."
Hmm.
And I thought to myself, that is so wonderful for a guy to have that reputation through his entire life. Not
Sure.
just somebody thought he was nice, but for the writer to say that,
Hmm.
that's the way you're supposed to live. When you
Right.
go out, someone says something good about you. You should live so that when you go, in the hopes that someone says something nice about you in front of your family. You
Hmm.
know, I hope someone says something nice about me in front of my children. That's my goal.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
that's a great goal.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. His last show, his last performance was in Cleveland, in December of '88, and I almost went, but it was a snowy night, and I live in Akron, and I didn't want to drive up to Cleveland, and I so regret not seeing Roy Orbison. Oh, I
He
could have
was a
been there.
sweet guy. Always sang great. Always.
Mm.
He never complained. He had heart issues, and I had heart issues. And I ran into him at a party I happened to be in New York the same time he was at a party. I can't remember if the party was for Bruce Springsteen or for Barry Mann,
Mm.
but I was there. It didn't matter to me. I'm like, what was his name? Zelig in the Woody Allen movie, the guy that shows up everywhere. That was
Right.
me. Somehow I got there. And I see Roy, and I walk in. Hey, how you doing, Ubi? Hello, Rod. No, how are you? We talking. And I said, Roy, didn't you have a heart attack? I just had one myself. I says, didn't you have a heart attack? Yeah, Rod. No, I had a quadruple bypass, and he told me the year, whatever it was. Okay. Meanwhile, he's smoking these French cigarettes,
Oh,
and
jeez.
I'm thinking to myself, what in the hell is going on with this guy smoking these cigarettes, man? I quit smoking instantly after smoking for 30 years. That was it for me.
Mm,
I mean, I tell you, smoking quit me. I knew I was never going to smoke again,
right. No,
but when I saw him smoking, I thought, let's see, quadruple bypass, smoking, not just cigarettes, but these French cigarettes that stink, you
mm.
know.
Jeez. Wow. Hey.
We're probably getting off track here,
Yeah,
but
that's okay. Hey,
whatever.
I love talking about Roy Orbison actually. I mean, I loved him when I was a teenager growing up, and like I said, I almost saw him, but any kind of old rock and roll stories, I'm all about it. So we're good.
I was I was still in high school, so let's say I was 16. And I remember Roy had a few songs out. He had Blue Bayou, he had Uptown, da, 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 da. So he had a few records. But this is before Pretty Woman and It's
Mm,
Over. And, I think Run the Scared might be one of them. But I didn't know what Roy even looked like.
mm,
But I remember thinking, this guy Roy Orbison, he's got a nice career. He's got different kinds of songs. I like this guy.
mm.
Yeah, here I am, ended up working with him.
Wow. Wow. Small
Yeah,
world. That's
yeah.
something. All right. Well, let's get back to Atlanta Rhythm section. So you come
What
back.
about me? I thought we were talking about me.
Well, that you
No,
are Atlanta Rhythm section. There you go.
I'm just kidding.
That's right.
Okay.
Um, you come back, you get the band back together, as they say in
Yeah.
2011. Um, a lot of fans that come to these shows today, they want to hear the classics, the hits from the 70s. How do you keep songs like So Into You and Imaginary Lover fresh and performing, after performing them so many times?
Well, it's difficult to explain because you would think that I'm singing them the same way all the time, and essentially I am. But they're different. The notes are the same, but the feeling is different because the audience is different every night. There's not a night. Now, first of all, again, I'm not nervous about singing. I know what I'm doing. I've
Hmm.
never been nervous, ever. By the time it's time for me to get what I'm supposed to do, I know what I'm doing, or
Sure.
I don't do it. Um, I'm never nervous, but every night I hope they like us. I don't go on stage without thinking we got to be good. We can't let these people down. They got to like us. So um, that happens. But singing the same song over and over doesn't bother me. I think maybe in some way I'm trying to improve it every night. I don't know
Okay.
what I could do to improve it, but
Yeah.
every night I'm just trying to make it better than I did it last time.
Sure. Well, that's great. That's a great attitude to have.
Yeah, yeah.
So, performing for 50 plus years, what continues to drive you as a performer?
Well, the truth is, I tell people all the time, it's all about the people you meet.
Hmm.
I love after the show when we're selling merchandise, whatever, we're sitting down, people come up and talk to you. They're so nice. And it's like, you know, I used to get laid with your band. Thank you. You think you got laid, uh, you know, uh, I live in my entire high school experience, and college experience tonight. You know, these songs mean things to people,
Hmm.
and it's our responsibility to connect them to the songs over a period in time. And I take it seriously. I don't want to let people down.
Hmm.
Um, so it's like I said, I've been singing the same songs, but I work with BJ Thomas.
Hmm.
And I remember someone asking him if he got tired of singing Raindrops Fall on My Head every night. He says, "Hell no! It makes me money every time. It gave me a career. It took my career from here to here."
Hmm.
He had a bunch of regional hits,
Hmm.
But he had national hits, but they were national hits that you won't remember. You know, Hooked on the Feeling,
Yeah.
Mama, uh, the Hank Williams song, whatever the heck it was. I'm
All
so
right.
lonesome I could cry.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's a great singer. He was a real singer. There are people that can sing, and there are singers. There's a difference.
Right.
EJ was both, but he was a real singer.
Okay.
And
Very
man,
good.
he could learn stuff fast. He could learn stuff fast. When he came to ARS, those records were called the Atlanta Rhythm Section. Some of them were. Most of all, Mighty Clouds of Joy, No Love at All. Those were all Atlanta Rhythm Section.
Hmm.
Okay, it goes like this. Hello, darling. He goes, Hello, darling. Next thing you know, he's singing the song. My friend produced an album with BJ of Brazilian songs. The son of a gun walked up and started singing songs in Portuguese. He's just a good singer, man. He was
Wow.
good. Yeah.
Huh. How about that? Now, do you have any memories of playing in Cleveland back in the day, or Northeast Ohio? Um, you mentioned the
I,
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or
dude,
whatever.
I remember. Well, I spoke at the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
They had. Well, I was when I alluded to the Frankie Valli story.
Right.
The Hall of Fame every year they have one artist that's already been inducted, and they have festivities about this one artist.
Right.
And it must have been about 2005, maybe. They did Roy Orbison,
Hmm.
and Buddy Bowie and I were both invited to go up there to speak and to be part of a panel about Roy and things like that. But my memories of Cleveland go back a long way. When I was with the Candyman, oh my gosh, the name of the place escapes me, and I know it too. But there was a local band of nice guys. They came to see us. They had a name kind of like the band that was on Where the Action Is. The Good Times. I think the Good Times or something like that.
Okay.
Nice guys too. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh,
Very,
yeah.
very
Yeah.
good. All
The
right. Well,
Hilton. We played the Hilton. Yeah.
wow. Okay.
Of all things.
There you go. Very good. So you're going to be coming to the Kent stage here at the end of the month. I think it's October 25th. What can fans expect from the show?
Well, that's a good question. You've seen the show, so there's about 7 songs probably that we have to do.
Hmm.
Or other they're going to ask for the money back, But I got
Right.
to do Spooky. I got to do So Into You. I got to do Imaginary Lover. I got to do Champagne Jam. I got to do It's Not Gonna Let It Bother Me Tonight. If it's that kind of a setting, let's say a theater, I'll Do It or Die. That's a top 20 hit that we didn't even do for years. But if it's an outdoor date, like we played on some of those Skinner dates, retirement tour, whatever. They've been retiring for 6 years.
Right.
Um, we played those. I'm not doing Do It or Die. Those
Right.
can you imagine that? So, but we have 7 songs we probably have to do. A Champagne Jam, and then we got others. We got a pretty big catalog of songs. Not that we do them all. Believe
Right.
me, there's songs that you would never bother learning. And good songs. Actually, we just started doing one that it was a good record, but just didn't do anything. Now, vocally and lyrically, the song makes a lot more sense now than it did then. It's called Crazy. I says, well, we did Crazy at school. Got harmony, guitar parts, lyrics are good. It's appropriate for the time for our times,
Right.
and you know, it worked out. So we put that in the act. We don't do it every night, but sometimes we'll probably do it, depending how long we play.
Hmm.
You know, we've had gigs I'm very popular. We've had
Yeah.
gigs where we played two songs.
Mm,
Played by Charlie Daniels, the volunteer jam after he died. They
mm,
had everybody in the world play for that thing.
sure.
So we were on it, and two songs. That was it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, hello.
Very good. All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you here at Kent once again. I think you're the headlining act, so I think you have the whole show to entertain us.
Is there not someone else on this show?
I I don't believe
Uh,
I got to double check now.
yeah.
Now you're
I
making me
wanted to
question.
think of the not Kentucky Hit Runners, not Jackie Blue. It was one of those kind of bands. I thought we had
Okay.
somebody else, but regardless,
Yeah.
if people show up, I promise we're going to do the songs. We'll do them respectfully. We'll have a good time, by the way, because we have a good time.
Oh yeah.
We're doing things to each other that people could never know about. You can't tell it, but we're pulling jokes on each other and doing things every night.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have
I
a good time.
gotta have
Absolutely.
fun for
Yes, sir.
sure.
We're doing our damnedest. I'll put it that way.
All right. Well, Rodney, again, thank you so much for your time, and I'm gonna see you at the end of the month.
Thank
Believe it
you.
or
I look
not.
forward to it. This is nice to speak with you, and I like to talk about the band and what's going on. So anytime.
Absolutely. All
Thank you
right.
for
All right.
inviting me.
Thank you so much. All right.
Okay.
We'll
All
see
right.
you in a
Be good to
couple of weeks.
yourself.
Thank you, buddy. All right.
Thanks.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye. 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 Hey, quit.